Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMBTV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. Chelsea versus West Ham United this afternoon in the Premier League. Good afternoon, everybody. There I am. I'm just making sure the volume's on. How are you all? Good to see you joining us on the stream. Hope you're all keeping well. I shall have the video up in just a second. The game has commenced. I'll be with you in just a second. I've done a couple of admin things. Be back right back with you very, very shortly. There I am, live and direct, coming at you from KUMB Towers. As I said, I hope everybody's well this afternoon. Chelsea versus West Ham United. Interesting team that the Hammers have got out this afternoon. Let me just adjust my camera because I seem to be sitting a little bit low here today. There we go. That's a bit better. How are you? Hope you're all very, very well and looking forward to this game this afternoon. Interesting lineup. We'll be going through it very, very shortly. That West Ham have got out. David Moyes has selected a much changed team for this one. Some people suggesting that he might not be approaching this game, with the maximum intentions of securing all 3 points, given that he's rested a number of key players today. I will go through that in just a second as we're getting set up here. David Moyes, of course, never managed a winning team at Stamford Bridge, which is quite interesting, given he's been in the game for many, many years. Who knows? Could today be the first? Would be very, very West Ham, wouldn't it, to rest a load of players, go in as huge, huge underdogs in a game like today and come away with all 3 points. Not saying I'm going to predict that this afternoon, but you never know. What do you think? Let me know. Those of you joining me here on the live stream on KUMB TV. What do you think? I was initially thinking personally 3-1 to Chelsea when I saw the lineups, but I've just got a sneak feeling we might pull off one of those one-all draws that we've had a few of here over the years. I'm joined by my good friend, perfect timing, Rio on the stream. Rio, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Not too bad, thanks, mate. Not too bad at all.
Awesome. 4.5 minutes gone anyway as we join, and we're still on level terms. Good start. Could be worse.
Yeah, we've had far worse starts than this, and we just forced a free kick in our own half. Things are on the up. No, things are not despondent. No,
it could be a lot worse. 5 minutes. Should we have a look at the teams? I did speak briefly about the teams the team that we've got out there today, which of course is much change. Have you got it in front of you, Rio? Do you want to take us through the West Ham lineup?
I will get it in just 1 second.
No worries. Well, while you're doing that, I'll go through the Chelsea team, and then Rio can bring you the news from West Ham. Chelsea lining up thusly: Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, the captain, in the defence, Thiago Silva, Christensen, Loftus-Cheek, Conte, Jorginho, Alonso, Mason Mount, Declan Rice's good friend, of course, lining up. Kai Havertz and Werner completing the starting 11 for Chelsea. On the bench for them, Arrizabalaga, Chalobah, Kennedy, Sarr, Barkley, Saul, Pulisic, Zivic, and Lukaku. First of all, Rio, I guess it's good to see Lukaku on the bench, given his record against us in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's had an awful season, but he has that uncanny knack of scoring against us every single time. We have weathered the storm a little bit in recent meetings, but you just know he's got one in his locker for us.
Absolutely. Do you want to take us through the West Ham team then? And well, we're just seeing Arthur Masuaku, before we come to that, nursing an injured right ankle. Let's just have another look at that again. It's Conte on the ball, plays it short he's just tripped, actually. I think it's Havertz who just catches him on the ankle, but we could certainly do without any more defensive injuries, Rio, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think ankle injuries are very much in vogue at West Ham. I don't know if it's a new fashion kind of thing that they're all trying to get, but yeah, the last thing we need today is more injuries. I know we've got a much changed lineup for us, but we still can do without any kind of mishaps today.
Yeah, we certainly could. Should we go through that lineup now? Have you got it in front of you?
Yep, absolutely. So we got 6 changes from our last week. In goal, Lucas Fabianski. We've got a back 5 of Vladimir Sufal, Ben Johnson, Craig Dawson, Aaron Creswell, and Arthur Masuaku. In midfield, we have Thomas Souček, the returning Mark Noble for only his second start of the season in the Premier League. Pablo Fornals, Said Benrahma, and Andrei Yarmolenko, who starts his first Premier League game, I think, since December 2020.
Is it really that long? Wow.
Yeah.
What did you what are your thoughts on that lineup? I mean, I guess everyone's a bit surprised on the team he's put out there, but I mean that's quite he's really taken an axe to that starting 11, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're so short of numbers at the back. Anyone who can defend and has played in a defensive role for us this season was going to start. In midfield and up front, he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. If we'd have gone with a full strength lineup, gone for this game, picked up 2 or 3 injuries, everyone would have been on his back saying, why did we do this? Why did we do that?
Yeah.
Because we rested players, you've got other people questioning that as well. So whatever David Moyes did today wasn't going to be the right answer. But it's an interesting lineup. Doesn't fill me with 100% confidence, but you know, we've seen some strange things over the years, haven't we?
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's what I was saying a few moments ago when we came on, that you know you'd look at this team and you'd think, well, that's a nailed-on defeat. But you know, we've been to a few places in the past, haven't we, and said exactly the same thing, and that's not transpired at all.
Yeah, absolutely. You just hope this is going to be one of them special days where, against all the odds, we pull something off. I think the biggest surprise out of the lot is that the one player who looks really in desperate need of a rest is actually playing. That's Thomas Souček. He's the one who looks absolutely most shattered throughout the whole season. Absolutely no respite from football because of his commitments with Czech, the Republic, and obviously playing in Europe week in, week out as well for us. Yet he's still soldiering on. What an absolute character we got there. What an absolute workhorse.
Yeah, what a trooper indeed. You surprised to see Declan Rice on the bench today?
I am, because everyone was thinking, will he drop Rice into the back, like the back 3, the back 4? And he's just jumped him into the bloody into the bench. So it's one completely out of left field, but
yeah,
it's understandable why he's done it, because again, he's someone who's in need of a bit of a rest. And the one player we don't want to lose for the next 3 games, the 2 European, the game against Arsenal, which we can really drive on there.
Yeah,
you don't want to lose your best player. I know there's a little kind of bit of white noise about the contract situation. That's a different matter. I'm not completely shocked or devastated by what's happened, because he's always stated that he wants to potentially discuss a negotiation for a contract in the summer once the season's over. But the press have picked up on the fact that he's turned down another contract offer, and they're making far more out of it than is actually necessary. And it's no surprise it's against one of the teams who are much coveted him.
Thomas Tuchel was asked about it, wasn't he, Friday during his press conference, and intimated that Chelsea might not even be able to afford Declan Rice this summer till they know what the situation is there. But anyway, just coming back to the game briefly, we've just seen Azpilicueta fall rather awkwardly on his ankle. He's looks in a little bit of distress. West Ham, a cross came in from the left-hand side. Nothing came of it, but the Chelsea captain is currently changing his boots as we speak, and he seems to be all right. I think he's going to be coming back on in a minute. But as we speak, West Ham have that one-man advantage as Andrei Yarmolenko looks to do something in advance. We've touched on, I mean, that was a really interesting point, Rio, that, we were all kind of sitting there thinking, what's Declan going to play? Is Moyes perhaps going to drop him in at centre half? Was he going to stick with him? No, he's taken him out of the team entirely. Real surprise. What about Mickey Antonio? We've all said he looks like he needs a rest, haven't we? And he's getting it today at last.
Yeah, again, some much needed. I mean, you can look at any one of our signings and say most of them need a rest. I mean, apart from bloody Sufal, who's missed a lot of time like recently with injury.
Yep.
Everyone else could do with a rest.
And
it's the first time all season we've actually managed to do that. And it's tantamount to the squad we put out today that, despite the fact we do look a bit weak, all hope is not lost.
No, indeed it isn't. We've just seen a bit of a scramble in the the West Ham penalty box. Werner received the ball on the edge of the box, and there was I think Ben Johnson actually, who's one of the players who's moved into central defence today, sort of got the ball tangled around his feet, but managed to avert the danger in the end, and nothing came of it. 12 minutes gone. Anyway, Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. A decent start so far for the Hammers. We're hanging in there. I didn't get the chance to ask you before, Rio, but what have you been up to this week? You had a busy week? You been up to much?
Actually, during the week's been pretty quiet. What did I do? Last night went to see a gig. First one since, I think, just before Christmas.
Was that our man Ginger, by perchance?
Yeah, Ginger Wild Out again. Played a little kind of the Lexington in just around the corner from Angel Station. Yep. Lovely little venue because it's really intimate. Holds about 200 people. Nice. Which I prefer, something like that. Only thing is, with my dodgy balance, the stairs getting up to that upper tier was an absolute nightmare. So, yeah, that was a bit. That's probably the most challenging thing I've done all week. Actually, getting up and down them steps without killing myself.
You got up there in one piece, though. Obviously, that's the good thing to take away from that, I suppose.
Just about.
Good night, was it? Good gig.
Really, really good. Yeah. Just. Him and one of his long-time collaborative partners just got together, 10 dates around the country, just a bit of nonsense, bit of acoustic nonsense, and laugh, play a few songs. Good entertainment for a couple of hours on a Saturday night. Nice.
Can't beat those small, intimate crowds. We went to see a band called My Life Story in Birmingham a couple of months back in Pizza Express, of all places, and it held about 50 people. It was quite bizarre. You had the stage, and then there was just tables, and you'd order your pizza. I don't know if you've ever been to one of their gigs before, and you'd be sitting there eating pizza and munching ice cream and brownies while the band were playing 6 feet away from you. It was quite bizarre, but thoroughly recommended. Anyway, there you go. That's what we've been up to. 14 minutes gone at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. The Hammers, much changed team this afternoon. Those of you joining us on the stream, let us know what you think. Predicted score today. You got a little hope that West Ham can get anything out of this game, or have you seen something in the opening quarter of an hour to sort of make you change your mind? Let us know. Do let us know. We've just seen Chelsea awarded a free kick on the right-hand side. Arthur Masuaku, a little bit late, exacting revenge, I think you might possibly say, for that challenge that came in on him a few minutes ago. Chelsea at home, Rio, lately, not been exactly excelling, have they?
No, not at all. And I would say I'm absolutely devastated about that, but I would be lying through my teeth. 4 goals conceded in both their last Premier League games.
Yeah,
plus the one for plus the defeat to Real Madrid thrown in. So they've been uncharacteristically Tuchel-like in defence in the last few games at home. And you know what? Over the last couple of months, I've never had much time for Chelsea. I've got quite a few friends and family who do support them. And some of them people have really let themselves down in the last couple of months since the whole Ukraine situation. And ever since Chelsea won the World Club Cup, which, let's face it, no one watches. No one's interested. And they've been making an absolute meal out of that. So, yeah, they've been let themselves down. So to see them shipping goals galore has been absolutely delightful.
Let's just come back to the game because West Ham are in a promising position. Mark Noble on the ball. Had a free kick there, took it short. Could have slung it into the box, but West Ham just choosing to maintain possession for now. That World Club Cup thingy, Rio, that you were just talking about there. I mean, you're right. It's never really been. I don't think anyone's ever taken any notice of it, really. Even sort of going back to the late 70s and 80s is when I remember the teams like Liverpool and Villa playing in it. Hang on, Chelsea are breaking now, just outside West Ham's box. But there were talks, weren't there, fairly recently of expanding the competition to sort of make it a mini World Cup for club teams, wasn't there? Yeah, there was. But, as you said, throughout the 80s and 90s, when, let's face it, English football was absolutely dominant. And even during Liverpool's heyday, during the Forest's heyday, when they were really good entertaining sides and I say absolutely dominant, and at times a joy to watch, and I hate to say that, no one gave a monkeys. It wasn't even televised. No.
And Now, Chelsea have gone and won this thing this year, played against 2 or 3 random non-teams. Was it Egyptian, Saudi, some of that? Well, actually, we're on the break, yeah. Ben Rama's on the right-hand side. Cruising the he fires it across, but hit straight into Mendy's hands. Shame. Yeah, no one gives them absolute hell interest in that competition.
Yeah.
And because Chelsea won it, you know, a lot of their fans are going, oh, we're champions of the world. Well, you're not. You know, you're not even champions of this country. Don't give me your champions of the world. And if you want to win the World Cup and be proper champions, look to us. Look to East London.
That's right. Only one English club have ever done it, of course. What do you what do you reckon there's any oh, hang on, West Ham have stolen the ball here. Oh, interesting. Ben Rama nipped in to take it off the foot of Rudiger. Was it Rudiger? No, it's not Rudiger. Rudiger's not playing, is he? So it wouldn't be Rudiger. One thing I should just come back quickly. Well, hang on. Chelsea breaking at the other end and won a corner. There was one mistake I read out during the Chelsea team. Christensen, I said, was playing, but I didn't realise. But apparently he'd been replaced late on. Slight change to the team. But West Ham created a couple of chances there in the last few minutes. We'll just stick with it for a minute because they have a corner. Rio, I think you're a few seconds ahead of me on this one this afternoon. So I'll let you take the lead on this one on the corner.
Chelsea swinging the corner in. Good defence further away from West Ham. I think it was Craig Dawson, as per usual, and he's gone down in a bit of a heap. Both Chelsea player and West Ham player on deck. A little bit concerned from the West Ham players around him. Lad was very, very concerned. And Dawson hasn't moved yet. So it looks like it could be a potential head injury there, which, you know, this is the last thing we need if anything else comes of this. Oh, it's Souček, I've just been told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got shot.
Pashavets. Yeah. Nasty. And as much as I want Tom to get a rest, I didn't want it to be this way if it happens.
I think it was Thiago Silva, wasn't it, that he collided with there? It looked like Silva. Yeah. Souček got to the ball first, and Silva came in a bit late and actually put the nut in on Souček. But I mean, it's a genuine injury when Souček goes down and doesn't get up for a few seconds. Not one to roll around on the floor, is he? Yeah,
that could explain why Vlad was so concerned as well. Now, them two stick together like glue, don't they, on the pitch?
They do. Brothers from another mother, as they say. That pair always looks after each other. A few words between Nevin and Moyes on the sideline there as they just check what options they've got. If they were to lose Souček, of course, I suppose that would mean Declan Rice coming on if Souček had to come off. But anyway, he's up and running. He looks all right, doesn't he? Couple of other games, Rio, taking place this afternoon in the Premier League, and there's been a goal already. Brighton beating Southampton in one of those games that I guess if you live outside of Sussex or Hampshire, you're not really going to give a monkeys about.
Yeah, Brighton full of attacking, flourishing at home, aren't they, normally? But is it one goal in about 8 games or something like that, or something stupid?
Wow.
And Southampton doing their usual Jekyll and Hyde performances at the end of the season. 1 week they're absolutely magnificent. Then they go 2 or 3 weeks where they're absolute garbage. We just forced another corner. Arthur put a cross in and Chalobah's fired it into touch. But it was a good move. We played some nice football, actually.
Yep.
You know, it's not been we're not been in any way kind of second best in this game. We've actually played some nice stuff. Just like they're cutting edge at the moment. Swing the ball in. And Arthur has a long dig, but it hits the Chelsea defender and goes in the arms of Mendy. But yeah, no, that was a little promising corner there.
We sort of saw the best of Arthur Masuaku in about 30 seconds there, didn't we? And the cross he put in, it was cleared out for a corner. It was a perfect cross just behind the defence, bang along that corridor of uncertainty that we talk about, the edge of the 6-yard box. Then he's had it's almost like a half volley, side volley, I guess you might call it. And I think that's probably on target, Rio. But as you say, it was blocked and didn't reach its intended target.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Arthur's actually had a decent game so far. That's probably going to jinx it because
whisper it quietly.
He has 5-minute spells, doesn't he? When it looks like a well beater, and the next 5 minutes looks like a wife beater. But you know, at the moment,
it's like one of your favourite beers to me. Chelsea attacking there anyway. We're coming up to midway through the first half, and no goals yet. Still waiting for our first goal. Neither side really threatened the other goalkeeper much so far. as you can tell by my paucity in the notes taking department so far. But yeah, we'll take this all day long, wouldn't we, Rio? I mean, you know, a point certainly unexpected today, isn't it? Even before we saw the team.
Absolutely. I mean, the point at Stamford Bridge is something we don't always get. So getting it in this kind of circumstances, if we can hold on, would be an absolute godsend. And let's face it, Chelsea do not like world champions at the moment, do they? You know?
No, they don't. They don't.
I'm probably going to hammer the on this point all the way through the game as much as I can.
I'm going to come back to that. You sort of reminded me there. I was talking about that briefly and then came back to the game, but I wanted to mention it. I mean, do you think there's capacity for that World Club Championship to be expanded? Oh, hang on, we've just got Chelsea attacking again now, but Noble's done a great job of tackling and taking the danger. Yeah, do you think? I mean, you know, the World Cup is obviously. Well, hang on, West Ham attacking now. Yarmolenko cuts inside, looking to get on his left foot. And that was interesting.
You would have hoped that the Yarmo would have a bit of shot when he cutting on his left-hand side there. You know, you're always hoping that he pulls that trigger, don't you? But again, a little bit of promising football there from West Ham, so really good.
Yeah.
As for that World Cup, there is no capacity whatsoever.
You don't think so?
No, I mean they're trying to expand the Champions League as it is. You know, where are they going to fit this tournament in?
Yeah,
it's bad enough as it is. The teams and clubs continually moan that they're playing too much football. So why are you going to even think and contemplate putting another kind of bloated, unnecessary tournament in there? It's nonsensical and there's no need for it. Just stick to the old. I know we shouldn't. Progress is progress, but from a footballing point of view, the way they've done this tournament now, it isn't progress. Stick to what it used to be. No, the champions of Europe, the champions of South America. Yeah, in days of yore, you used to end up in a bit of a bloodbath, and it was entertaining, which you used to read about in the papers. No one watched it, obviously, but you know, at least it was like a talking point, and people that did, had a passing interest. This is just nonsensical, unnecessary, and it's just a money-making effort, isn't it?
If I remember rightly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rio, did it not just used to be the one game? It was just the champions of Europe versus the champions of South America.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I think at one stage in the 60s, it was late 60s, wasn't it, over 2 legs?
Right.
Then they moved it to, I know, in the early 80s, they played it in Japan. It was almost a kind of an exhibition game to like broaden the horizons of the Asian audience. But yeah, because no one was really interested. Yeah, and that hasn't changed.
Well, it just seems odd that it's kind of like a no man's land they're in at the moment. They've brought in. I mean, is it quarterfinals or semi-finals? It starts at now. I'm not sure, but I think there might be. I mean, I'm getting this from playing Football Manager over the years. I think there's qualifying rounds where you get the Asian champions and then maybe a team from the Middle East play for the right to play in a semi-final. I think that's right, isn't it? Something like that anyway. But
yeah. Then the South American and the European teams coming at that stage.
Yeah.
So even then, they may claim they're world champions, but you haven't beaten a full kind of repertoire of clubs. You've just beaten like a cursory qualifier, and whoever got through, which I think this year was Corinthians, wasn't it?
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. I don't think I've ever watched it. As I say, I seem to remember reading the odd report back in the day about 3 days after the event had taken place of, as you say, you know, English teams getting 10 bells kicked out of them by a South American side. But
my trusty assistant has just said the last time they qualified for when they won the Champions League 2012, they got knocked out in the World Club bit pretty early on. So this is why they're making a big deal out of it, because they've actually progressed beyond, you know, and
they lost to Corinthians in the final.
Yeah, they lost to Corinthians in the final the first time round. This time they played Palmeiras and won. And a nation and a continent yawns because no one cares.
We've just seen a shot from Chelsea. There is something happening in the game. Chelsea are pretty much controlling possession at the moment, but West Ham have looked pretty tight defensively and doing all right so far. 27, just coming up to 27 minutes. Still Chelsea nil, West Ham United nil. Going to have a quick look at some of the comments. I asked you for your predictions, your score predictions. Craven, you're the only one who came back to us on that one. Craven going for a 3-0 loss. Hello, sir, to Andy. Aaron saying that it seems like either Suchek or Dawson gets smashed every game, just as well, isn't it, Aaron? I suppose because they're probably the two. I mean, you want to see the likes of, I don't know, Said Benrahma perhaps, or Manuel Lanzini get 10 bells kicked out of them every game, because they probably wouldn't be able to take it as well as those two. But yeah, it's a very valid point you make. They do seem to be in the wars more frequently than anyone else. Going back to our little mini discussion there about the Club World Championship, Hobo saying that keep adding more footy for the big clubs, and I think the division will end up being reduced to accommodate. Well, of course, this is something they've been talking about for many, many years, isn't it, Hobo, following the German method. I think the Bundesliga, Rio, is 18 teams now, isn't it? And they do, of course, have that break, the winter break over there.
Yeah. I know there was like moves for the Premier League to kind of contemplate doing themselves, but again, it destroys the fabric of English football. And, you know, we don't do too bad for a nation who has 20 clubs in their top tier, plays a lot of extra cup competitions. You know, we're pretty dominant in Europe over the last few years, so playing those games doesn't hurt. What it does, you know, it gives more focus on domestic football and the fans who really matter, not giving credence to these kind of bloated, unnecessary competitions.
Yeah, they're sort of trying to force the changes through via stealth, aren't they, at the moment, via the back door. You know, these updates to the Champions League. I almost call it the European Cup there. It still can't get over that change. But talking about, you know, teams not, you know, staying in the competition even if they haven't qualified, stuff like that. It's you sense that it's inevitable, don't you? At some point, this whole European Super League attempted breakaway thing really has sort of rattled the cages of the folks there at UEFA, and it seems they're trying to do their best to keep both camps happy. But did you see it like that? Do you see it as inevitable that, you know, it's going to go that way and money's going to have an even greater say in the way football develops at, you know, at international level in years to come?
Absolutely. The clubs have far too much power now. There's far too much money involved. It's an absolute cash cow, football at the moment. Yeah. And the more you deny the so-called bigger and more wealthy clubs from having more money and more success, it creates animosity with them because they don't like being on the receiving end. So they'll do anything to protect their own interests. They don't give an absolute hoot about anyone lower down the food chain in the footballing terms. So all they're interested in protecting their own interest, making sure that they're in the limelight every minute of the day, and to hell with the consequences. When football finally caves in a little bit, because it is cyclical and it will a little bit, there will at some point be a bit of a lull in interest. Yeah, because you just get bored with watching the same teams week in, week out, with no kind of promotion, no relegation, just protecting the interests of bigger clubs. Now, when fans start turning off of that and start getting disgruntled, and they come cap in hand to who they left behind, I'd stick a firm two fingers up and go, well, you made your bed, you lie in it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Couldn't see it happening, but I think it's a valid point you make. It's a really good point. Again, you make about football and that whole industry being sort of cyclical. It's you go back to the 50s and you look at grounds like I know the Valley, for example. Charlton were pulling in crowds of 70,000 on a regular basis back then. You know, it's the 70s and 80s. I guess that, you know, you could argue. I mean, it's, you know, there have been many books written about it, of course, but the whole hooligan element, of course, definitely affected crowds for, you know, throughout that period, the 70s and the 80s. And you know, and it's an interesting point because we're just seeing Chelsea trying to attack again, still 0-0 in case you're just coming in, half hour gone. As much as many of us complain about what's being called the kind of the sanitisation of football, the new stadia that we've seen erected all over the country, it has helped swell the numbers in terms of support and the amount of finance coming back into the game, isn't it? Even if not through the traditional routes of money going through the gates at the turnstiles, if more so in TV broadcast revenue that's coming through in those channels. But it's difficult to argue, I guess, that football financially isn't in a healthier position now than it ever has been.
Yeah, there's far more money in the game. But you've got to look at it from the point of view, is the money staying within football? It's just making a lot of agents, a lot of players themselves, more wealthy than can possibly ever imagined. I mean, can you imagine the likes of, during the 70s, the likes of Tony Curry, Stan Bowles were real entertainers. what they would have done with this kind of money. What players earn and what average players earn now sets them up for life. What real quality players earns, they could probably feed and sustain a smaller country in one of the subcontinent, with what they earn. It's just, Yarmolenko has a shot, hooks across the face of goal. Nice little move, West Ham. I think Fornells plays it in the armour on the probably the wrong side of the goal, wrong left-hand side of the goal, which he'd rather be on the right-hand side, but it was a good run. He's onside and he hooks it across. It was a decent effort, West Ham.
That's a really clever little through ball, isn't it, to find him? And on his favoured foot on the left side, it's Fornells, isn't it? Combining with the Ukrainian there. Just gets his angle slightly wrong, but promising stuff from West Ham. Credit also, I've got to give it to Said Benrahma, who started that move by nipping in and taking the ball off a Chelsea player on the halfway line. Looked very alert, but we're just seeing Chelsea break at the other end. West Ham back in numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players behind the ball, plus Lucas Fabianski. Chelsea are able to go. No, this kind of reminds me a little bit of watching a West Ham v Arsenal game, from years gone by, where Arsenal, sort of want to make 40 or 50 passes around the perimeter of the penalty box before having a shot. There doesn't seem to be, they're trying to break West Ham down, but we're defending solidly at the moment. There's no gaps there.
No, I just noticed when the Chelsea broke on that last attack, there was a solid blank of 5 defenders ready to kind of weather the storm. And so far we've done it. We've done it with quite a bit of aplomb. So long may it continue. But promising signs in this opening half hour. We're definitely not second best. We've probably created the clearer cut chances, to be honest. It's very, judging by the anticipation after we've seen the lineup at the start of the game, everyone's expecting to get pummeled 2, 3, 4-0. And that doesn't even on the cards at the moment.
No, it really turns out that way, does it? Especially where West Ham are concerned. And it certainly hasn't so far. The Hammers more than holding their own. Definitely one eye on defensive solidity with that 5-man rear guard, but the Hammers still creating chances. It's it's not been all one way. This seems a good way to segue into the statistics so far. Let's have a look. As I said, we're just coming up to 35 minutes gone in this game. Chelsea with 72% of possession, West Ham 28, 3 shots from Chelsea, none on target. Chelsea yet to have a shot on target. West Ham 2 shots, none on target. So I didn't realise we're still waiting for our first shot on target, which, as I said, probably explains why I've got so few notes on my paper. 1 corner each. And we saw this the other day, didn't we, Rio? With the Chelsea fans, Azpilicueta was remonstrating with one of the supporters. We'll come back to that in a minute because West Ham have got a free kick in a dangerous position, which Rio will take us through.
Yep. About 25 yards out, right-hand side of the Chelsea box. We've got Soufal standing over it. A little bit of jostling in the centre there. Soufal takes it. It's not great. Headed away by the first man. Comes it around Creswell. We're just knocking the ball around now. Playing it back in. Good ball by Ben Johnson. Yarmo gets a turn. Puts it out wide for Soufal again. Playing a nice little bit of football again. That's Fornells and Yarmolenko combining well. Mark Noble feeds out wide. Then Benrahma's going to put a cross in. Can he find a West Ham player? He almost can. Unlucky there. But penalised. Thomas Soucek going a little bit aggressively, and Chalobah holding his dreadlocks. And man up, man. Man up. No, it wasn't that aggressive.
Good stuff from West Ham. Benrahma's looked pretty lively, isn't he, Rio? It's another one of those where, he's quite involved in the game without doing anything sort of particularly notable so far. But we're doing okay so far. Yeah,
definitely. With Benny, he's doing the same as he does like week in, week out. Gets in some really good positions, but the final decision making just lets him down. But that was a decent cross. The one before, when he kind of put it across into Mendy's hands, that's frustrating. That's where he lets himself down at times. Soufal just getting robbed on the edge of the box there by Conte, but we clear it and clear the danger.
Brilliant by
36 minutes gone. West Ham 0, the world champions 0.
Craig Dawson, as we're saying, just get your foot in to stop that attack. That could have been really dangerous. Had our main defender as he is now. Well, we've just seen another effort. Kind of the ball's pinging around in West Ham's box at the moment, just come out. But the Chelsea fans are lifted by what they've seen over the last 30 to 45 seconds, and they're actually getting behind their team for a change. I was going to say that there was that little tete-a-tete between Azpilicueta, Rio, and that supporter last week, kind of indications that all is not well in the garden of Chelsea.
No, I would say, I mean, it almost typifies the Chelsea support for me, because they've just won, obviously, the World Club Cup. They've just won the European Champions League, and yet they still don't seem happy, despite the fact they were kind of riding high in the Premier League, third place. Had a couple of decent cup runs, Only lost in the Champions League this year to Real Madrid, who, despite their kind of their frailties this season at times, are still a top-notch side. And you always just think it's typical of the new wave of football support, and particularly ones you see at Chelsea. What do you actually want? It's asked for everything, and because you don't get it delivered, you find cause to moan. But I mean, if we had Chelsea's squad in terms of calibre, I wouldn't be moaning too much. If we just won the Champions League, I wouldn't be moaning too much. Just a year afterwards.
It's that sense of entitlement, isn't it, Rio? That occurs with every club. I think when they win a few games, we've seen it with other clubs throughout the years, and I'm sure if West Ham in a couple of years' time were becoming regulars in the Champions League, we'd be going into certain games thinking that we had a divine right to win it. But you're absolutely right. We've just seen Pablo Fornals take a bit of a knock there through the back. Didn't see a card coming from our match official, but I think, was it Silva, I think, who now, who's Noble? Mark Noble's having a bit of a chat there with Coach Nevin. Not quite sure what they're saying, but the message has been sent across. And West Ham looking to break again on the right-hand side. I'm guessing by Rio's face there that it's come to nothing. Indeed it has.
Noble chipped the free kick down the right-hand side. It looked perfectly fine to me, but Yarmolenko called offside. And even he looked indignified about that one. And Chelsea on the break again. Coming down our left-hand side now, trying to attack where Aaron Cresswell has done really well to see him out. And gone for a goal kick, run out of play by Havertz.
Well played, Aaron Cresswell.
Getting warmly applauded by the Chelsea lot who are actually in the ground today. But I dare say one more of them, they'll be throwing things at him, because, that sense of entitlement that creeps for the rest of London will be kicking in very soon.
Indeed. I'm sure we're going to see it back in Arsenal. Well, I say Arsenal, it's not Arsenal, it's in North London, where, of course, they've won a few games recently, and that's a very strange situation there. But anyway, we are at Stamford Bridge this afternoon, 40 minutes gone now. This has been a very, very dodgy period for West Ham, if my memory serves me right, Rio, in recent weeks. We seem to concede a few goals in the final 5 minutes of half, but on the other end, we've scored the odd one or two at this point as well.
Yeah, it's been a lack of bit of concentration at times has let us down. And you just think if we'd have held our resolution and our mentality that we've really developed really well under David Moyes throughout the games, we could be actually riding high in this fourth spot. We've been the victims of our own demise at times, a lot of this season. You just think we switched off against Manchester United twice, lost both them games. We switched off with Brentford at home, lost that game. Now, those few points could really come to bite us at the end of the season here. But, it's a team full of goals as well. And despite the fact we're playing with a second string side largely, we've asked a few questions of a Chelsea side who, rightly so, have got a good calibre. Third place in the league, deep in the European competition until they got knocked out. So we're doing all right, yeah? We're doing all right.
We certainly are. Hanging on, let's just hope we can hold out to the break as Chelsea look to work another chance, but it's well snuffed out by our fullback, Mr. Soufal. But Arthur Massell can lose his possession again, and Chelsea looking to break again. Craven and Moorhead. Now, going back to, we were talking about the financial side of football a few minutes ago, and Craven referred to Oldham. And as Craven said, it's not so many years ago, Rio, that we were getting thumped on the plastic pitch there on Valentine's Day, the Valentine's Day massacre. Of course, we'll all remember the 6-0 in the League Cup semi-final. Craven said, I feel sorry for Oldham fans. The founder members of the Premier League getting walloped 6-0 on Valentine's Day was one game I'd sooner forget, but I feel for supporters whose clubs have gone through the leagues. And he asks, what do you make of the Oldham situation? What are your thoughts on that, Rio?
Yesterday, I was watching the scores come through on Soccer Saturday as per my normal Saturday routine, not at a game. And it said Oldham dropped out of the league after, I think, 115 years, you know. The fans were in uproar, pitch protests a lot. But my first initial thoughts were, thank God for that. Because purely of our encounters with them in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm still a little bit bitter over that, you know. Yeah. That whole plastic pitch, Ian Marshall, Andy Ritchie, all them lot, very, very bitter. But no, I looked at it in the cold light of day this morning, and yeah, you've got to have sympathy. The way that club's been mismanaged over the last 15, 20 years is absolutely shocking. And it's a community club, and it's them dropping down, hopefully will be the resurrection of them, but you just fear for their future because they're in a catchment area of a lot of clubs in that Manchester area. United, for all their kind of woes of this season, are still a global entity. Manchester City are dominant. We've seen the likes of Stockport go down in that area and struggle to come back. They're doing right this season, but it's taken 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So the Oldham, they're in a much more perilous state financially. They're incredibly poorly run at the moment by their owners. So you do fear for the future. And as much as I hated Oldham during the 80s, 90s, you don't want to see a club like that drop out with that kind of history. You don't want to see them become another Bury. Again, another club in the area whose demise has capitulated the whole area.
West Ham just had a free kick, dangerous looking cross delivered from the left-hand side. Didn't come to anything in the end, but Chelsea managing to deal with it. But yet again, West Ham, another opportunity to get into the Chelsea penalty box. Still waiting for our first effort on target, by the way, as we approach the final minute of the first half. Bury, of course, being the obvious the example of that, absolutely terribly won and run into the ground by their owners. And Oldham, of course, the same. You do wonder if it's an issue there, as Rio points out, Craven. I think there's so many, it's a little bit like London in the sense that you've got so many clubs, Man City, Man United dominating that area, of course, and it's not you don't have to go more than 50, 60 miles, and then you've got Liverpool and Everton. You're talking about three or four of the biggest clubs in this country over the last 3 or 4 decades. And it must be really tough for the likes of Bury, Stockport, Oldham, Tranmere, even to over on Merseyside, even Chester, maybe a little bit further down, to try and compete, and not financially, but in terms of getting the fans through the door and all that. And it's always a shame when a club, I think, of that age really suffers like that. I mean, my local club, who I used to go and watch quite a bit in the early 1980s, was Southend United, and of course they hadn't been in the league for quite as long, but they fell through the trapdoor the year before last, and they were pretty much bottom of the it's not called the conference now, is it? What's it called, Rio? The 5th division.
National League, isn't it?
National League, thank you.
Yeah.
And they've kind of recovered a little bit lately, and they're sort of mid to just coming to the top third of the table. But it is a shame. There's no doubt it's a shame when these clubs that have been very much the part of the fabric of the local community suffer like that, because you do see sort of communities suffer consequently as a result. Also, it happens to a degree when clubs move, but that's another matter entirely. Of course, we saw all the traders at West Ham suffer when the club moved to Stratford, and that's a common theme, of course, going around. But I guess this kind of takes us full circle away to what we were saying at the start of the show about football evolving, and how it might now be in a better position financially than it's ever been, but in terms of its impact on the local communities and importance, it's a different story. But anyway, we could write a book probably about that, Rio, and talk about that for ages and ages. But let's bring it back to the game here. We're in the second minute of added on time, 3 minutes added on at the end of this first half. It's still Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. We've survived this far, but of course this was the case when we played Leon, wasn't it, the other night? We got to this point and we was like, oh, well, half time's just round the corner. It's 0-0. We're doing okay. And all hell let loose.
Yeah. I think what David Moyes, if we can see this last minute out, I think he'll get them players back in the dressing room and he'll congratulate them on the job incredibly well done. No, we've defended resolutely. We've not looked on a real major threat, despite the fact Chelsea had, I think, 67, 70% possession. They haven't really hurt us yet. And I've been really impressed by the way that a side which is full of players who don't play week in, week out with each other, you know, because Noble's not playing week in, week out. Yarma don't play week in, week out. Arthur doesn't. And as a unit, we're actually ravaged defensively, but we've looked absolutely mustard defensively today. There's some really good blocks, good interceptions, good fit-ins. We play some nice football at times. So I think David Moyes will be absolutely delighted with this, and rightly so.
Yeah, it's been a very professional performance so far by the Hammers, and as I say, so far, because we know how few seconds it takes to completely change a game, and has done so far once or twice for West Ham. Quick look around the ground elsewhere. Brighton now 2-0 up against Southampton. Second goal coming in. Thank you, Steve, for the nod. Burnley and Wolves still 0-0. And is that half time? It is.
Yep, that's half time done. And Chelsea celebrate it with their captain losing the contents of his nose as he walks off in a little bit of disgust. So, yeah, I think that sums up Chelsea's day so far. You know, West Ham 0, Chelsea 0. We're doing really, really well. And who would have thought at the start of this game with, like, as I said, a made-up squad, players playing out of position, players coming up with their first game in a long, long time in the starting sense. We're doing superbly.
Beautifully summed up, Rio. Yeah, it was one of those perfectly timed moments by the TV cameras there, wasn't it? When Aston Coletta came off the pitch and they panned to him, and there he was shooting a grolly out of his left nostril. 0-0, half time, as Rio says. Some stats for you. Match stats, possessions, Chelsea 70% to West Ham's 30%. Chelsea 6 shots so far, none on target. West Ham United 3 shots, none on target. Looking at that, you might say it's a pretty dull and uneventful game, but there's been quite a lot to keep us occupied. 1 corner each, 9 fouls committed by Chelsea so far, 3 by West Ham, which is not something you see often, but decent help. We are going to take a break in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, just to go and wet our whistles, as we say. We'll come back in time for the second half, but just going through a couple of points. Steve Palmer, talking about Oldham, as we were, Rio, Steve Palmer says holding a grudge, Rio, and it kind of made me thought, what football clubs, and this is one for everybody who's joining us on the stream, what football clubs do you hold a grudge against? Of course, we've pretty much all read the book, Robert Banks's book, and I just wondered if all of you watching us have got teams that you just hate for no, or you might have a particular reason, but you know, it might have happened 30, 40 years ago, and you still sort of maintain it. For me, I think one of mine's Everton. Actually, I met, and it's purely because I was on the ferry to the Hook of Holland. We were on our way to Amsterdam for a friend's stag do many years ago, and I'm going back to about 89, 90, and I got talking to a fella at the bar while we was out there, and he was absolutely trolleyed, and this was at a time when Everton were known for not fielding many black players, and you kind of got you got to understand the reason why. Talking to this guy, and it's kind of always stood with me, that sort of thing, the kind of bigotry that he was expressing at the time, and I've sort of had this sort of unrational dislike of the of that club for ever since. Anyone else, Rio? Oldham? Anyone else?
I mean, I've said it before. I hate every single club in the league, including my own at times.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of irrational ones. Middlesbrough stands out.
What? Where does that stem from?
Bernie Slaven scoring the last, I think, 2 goals in the last 5 minutes against us in the late 80s.
Now, see, that is a beautiful example of what I'm saying. We're going back nearly 40 years, and it's still it's still digging away inside Rio's cranium there. That one. Any others?
God, honestly, I could actually go through a whole list of the whole entire league, and Crystal Palace is another one. If you've ever been to Crystal Palace, you know why. If you ever have to endure their support, you know why. if you're ornithophobic like me and you see an eagle flying from one end of the pitch to the other before the game, it's the most terrifying part about that whole Crystal Palace experience. Yeah, that's another reason I hate that club. As soon as they go bankrupt, I'm in. Swap places with Oldham. Bring a plastic pitch with Oldham. You know, just take Palace's place.
I'm adding Sunderland to the list because I was at a school friend's birthday party when I was 8 years old, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and the results came through on the video printer as they used to in those days, probably still do, but on the BBC. And the final score was Sunderland 6, West Ham United 0. And I hid underneath the table, the kitchen table, and cried, sobbed my eyes out. And everyone else was laughing at me because I was crying about a football match that taken place 300 miles away. So for that reason, Sunderland, I wish every bad thing happens to you for the next millennium. But what have we got? We've got Patrick Lamb, irrational hatred of Stoke. Why particularly for you, Patrick? Let us know why. I mean, we've all got our reasons. We can all remember their tactics, the Huth-inspired tactics, and all the pulling and shoving and stuff that used to go. They even got this now. They even got Matthew Everington at it, didn't they, Rio? I seem to remember. Was it a dive in the box against us when he was up at Stoke that won a penalty for them?
Yeah, that's in the cup. Was it the cup quarter final or something like that?
Could be right. I've just got a memory of thinking, Everington of all people, one of our own. You know, this is what they've done to him. You know,
loyal servant for us. Those barren years in the Championship.
Yes,
played
indeed.
really well when we got promoted.
Yeah,
join them. It's an absolute poo bag. Matt, remember who bailed you out when you had your problems? No, what's he do? Straight on the deck. You know, almost. All he was missing really was a Tony's Prudis cap, like with "I love Tony" on it. Look what he's done to me. You know, that would have summed him up.
And Rory Delap, of course. Who can forget Rory Delap's throws? I've actually used to have quite a bit of time for Tony Pulis. Interesting Tony Pulis fact, and it's completely nonsensical fact, but he's the only manager in all the years we covered the press conferences at West Ham. He's the only manager I've ever seen conduct his press conference standing up. Means absolutely nothing, but there you go. Stood there for 15 minutes taking journalists' questions. Everyone else just sort of slumbered down, opened the free bottle of fizzy water, and look relaxed. Not Tony Pulis. He stood there and yeah. Don't know,
alpha male dominance. That's what it is.
Maybe that's what it was. He felt he was intimidating everyone that was sitting down. Do you reckon that's what it was? Yeah, looking down on people, maybe. But he was actually all right. And Mark Hughes was another one who came across all right. And Steve Bruce as well, actually. Steve Bruce, I know gets a real bad press, but always really friendly whenever you sort of got the opportunity to chat with him or have a passing word as you went up to put your tape recorder on the deck. Always a friendly guy, even if they'd been beaten. But I guess it's one of those where it's all right because he was managing someone else. I guess if he was managing West Ham, we wouldn't have been quite so polite or supportive. Anyway, should we take a quick break, Rio? I've got to jump off for 5 minutes and just go and get a drink and do a couple of bits, and we'll see you all again in what should we say? Well, it's about 10-12 minutes until the second half begins. So
have you got a background with intermission on it?
I have, yeah. I'm going to pop it up. I'm just trying to find it actually. But yeah, I'm going to pop that up right now, and let's see. I think it's this one. And then if you just stop your video, we'll disappear for a minute. There you go. There it is. Half time. Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. Rio and I will see you again very, very shortly. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back for the second half of this afternoon's tie at Stamford Bridge. West Ham United against Chelsea, 0-0 at the break. Rio's already here waiting for me. Good to see. We just popped off for a quick break. It's getting a bit hot in here in the cabin, so to a quick change. Hence the new top. It's a bit like the Eurovision Song Contest in here. We're having dress breaks. I had a nice little frock lined up, but I figured I'd go for a t-shirt instead. Has the second half started yet, Rio?
Yeah, we're 3 minutes into the second half. We had one little foray down the Chelsea left-hand side. Oh, sorry, down our left-hand side, Chelsea's right. Ben Rama and Masuaku combining. But yeah, it's been pretty much as we were. No changes. And we're still asking the questions. We're on the break now. Ben Rama feeds it wide right. Sufel has the ball. He looks up, checks back to Noble. Noble plays it inside. All right, probing around the Chelsea box here. There's no sense of urgency from West Ham, but you'd kind of expect that, wouldn't you? But yeah, chances are there.
Yeah, West Ham still in possession. Yarmolenko looking to trick his way down the right-hand side, but unfortunately concedes a throw. Going back to our question about, we asked you before the break, what team do you possess an irrational even hatred of? Rio coming up with Middlesbrough, myself, Sunderland. Of course, we were talking about Oldham and wishing them well. Cisse says, as a Hammers fan, Millwall, I guess that one goes without saying, doesn't it, Cisse? Really. Patrick Lamb, of course, mentioned an irrational hatred of Stoke. Andy Welsh, Brentford, former in-laws families. There you go. That's a great one. Now that's Rio. That's the sort of thing we're looking for, isn't it? A perfect. That's not really irrational, is it? I mean, if it's an ex, it's you can understand it completely, I guess.
Oh yeah, I can expand on that. When we played, we don't often play in Brentford, do we? I think I only seen us play twice. Yeah. But in the early 90s when we did, they had this reputation of being a kind of a nice family club, and they absolutely kicked the life out of us on the pitch in both games.
Yeah.
I know the set one at home we won about 4-0, but yeah, there was a horrible side to play against. And the dirty tactics they employed in the home game this season hasn't enamoured that club to me. And then to top it off, the only club with 4 pubs on each corner of the ground, they go and knock it down. No, so your evening little away trip, which would be like absolutely epic to do, pub on each, pint in each corner of the ground, they take that away from us.
There you go. More entirely irrational reasons to hate a football club, with good reason at the same time. What else have we got here, Rio? John Harrington says Liverpool, but there's nothing irrational about it. This is cold, rational hatred. I think most of us have a slight feeling of that. John, and where Liverpool goes. Andy Welsh saying, my new in-laws are bloody Spurs. Well, that's you've drawn the short straw twice there, Andy, haven't you? Really, unfortunately. I just wonder if, as West Ham fans, that should be something on the checklist that we look at before choosing our lifelong partners. You know, temperament, looks, maybe attitude to life, and football team that the family supports. I guess that should rank pretty highly up there on that list. Let us know. Anyone else? But Andy says, yeah, I've made sure my son is West Ham through and through. Good work, Andy. Good to see. David O'Rourke's joined us on the stream. Good to see you, David. Joined at a good time. 51.5 minutes gone. Chelsea 0. West Ham United 0. We're still waiting for our first shot on target for either side. Chelsea looking to work something now on the left-hand side. Soufal standing up to his man. Well, say standing up, he's actually almost bent over double. But the cross comes over nonetheless. It's dangerous. But Craig Dawson hurls himself at the shot, as he does and as he has done so frequently this year, and gets an effective block in. But Chelsea's still looking to push on. It's Chalabar now, who, that's a very clever ball inside. Not sure if that was a misplaced shot, but West Ham dealing with it and clearing our lines again. Anyone else? Let us know if you have any irrational hatreds of any particular football team, or actually anything. Not just football. What do you have an irrational hatred of? Could be mice, spiders, bananas, whatever, hairpins. I don't know, anything. Right-hand drive cars. Who knows? If you have an irrational hatred of something, let us know, and we'll mention it, and perhaps decide, Rio, between us what the most irrational is, and give a non-functional prize to the winner at the end of the show. Chelsea are appealing, or Chelsea fans are appealing for a penalty. It's never a penalty. It's a good tackle, but they seem to have come out with a bit of intent, as they say, Rio, in this second half.
Yeah, I don't think Tuchel been happy at all with what he saw in the first half, and they've come out with a bit more aplomb, a bit more drive, a bit more ambition, and they're probing away at our box at the moment. Loftus-Cheek puts the ball in, again cleared by West Ham, but Kante's much more involved. He wasn't really a bit on the periphery in the first half, but he's much more involved already. 2 or 3 occasions in the opening 5 or 6 minutes, he's been in and around our box, causing a little bit of havoc. And I hate to say it, for the first time, we look a little bit under the cosh.
Yeah, it's a shame. We had a real chance to break there. Ben Rama on the left-hand side could have set Andrei Yarmolenko free if his delivery had been better, but it's a poor pass and easily cut out. Chelsea have another shot. I think that one was actually on target, though. It's blocked, so it probably won't count in the shots on target column, but pretty end-to-end stuff at the moment. John Harrington, Rio, slugs, he says. Irrational hatred. Horrible things, aren't
they? Yeah, they're absolutely grotesque. Most insects are. I mean, I hate anything that, isn't a dog, basically, and has got life and a thought of its own. I mean, I'm still sticking with the birds. If anyone can come up with something worse than birds, right, you're on a winner here. But at the moment, birds hand down.
There's nothing to do with Alfred Hitchcock, is it, Rio? Or anything that happened when you were young?
No. Apparently, when I was really, really young,
yeah,
right, and I hit 50 in a couple of months' time. So this is going back a long, long time. I got taken a day out by my parents to Southend.
Right.
And apparently there's some kind of attraction when you went in. And as you went in, this mechanical parrot squawked. And apparently I screamed the house, like the whole place down.
Yeah.
So much so we got an offer a refund because I was actually causing like absolute distress to everybody. And ever since then, I'm absolutely terrified of the things. And my reasoning is, I've got two reasonings.
Right.
Well, actually 3. It's the nearest you're going to get to a dinosaur. Right. Birds are so stupid. A human, right, and we're the most intelligent life forms on the planet. It takes us 7 or 8 years to learn how to fly a plane. Yeah. Birds are just let carte blanche, pushed out of a tree and told to get on with it. Yeah. And right, if you've got pets or anything,
yeah,
you've got a dog, and you actually, if it makes a little bit of a doggy accident, as shall we say, trying to keep it polite here, and you tread on it, yeah, you're annoyed, you're furious, but 5 seconds later, the dog comes bearing up to you, gives you love and affection, and you're friends again. You can forgive the dog.
Yeah,
you go out and the bird poos on your head, you're indignant for days, weeks. It's just disgusting.
Oh, go to him.
We'll come back to that in just a second, Rio, because we've had a great chance there. Thomas Souček, really good chance, but didn't quite. I mean, the ball's played him on the edge of the box. He had time to pick his spot, get it on his favoured foot, and just sort of got the ball caught under his foot a little bit there, and it was an easy save for Chelsea to make.
Yeah, but making inroads here. Just to follow up there, Cresswell put a ball in just slightly in front of the attacker. But yeah, the Chelsea come at us, but we've actually hit on the break there, and that was a good chance. Really need to take them. We lack that cutting edge, though, don't we? I know we say it week in, week out. The lack of a natural striker, the lack of a backup striker has come to hurt us. In a game like this, where chances are a real premium, you want to see one of them go in the back of the net, and you want to see it go in the back of the net and put Chelsea on the back foot even more. Wasn't to be, though. Wasn't to be.
No, unfortunate, but there's definite opportunity there for West Ham as we look at Conte break, and let's take that's actually a fantastic save by Lucas Fabianski. I was just about to say Conte's broke through the centre. He's had a shot. He's tried to put it into the right hand side of Fabianski's goal. He's taken a deflection now. Is it Craig Dawson? No, it's
Ben Johnson,
isn't it? It's taken a deflection off Johnson, and the ball kind of lifted in the air, and Fabianski, fortunately, I think he's a little bit fortunate there, Fabianski. He's already diving to his right-hand side. There is a deflection, but it hasn't taken it too much higher than the shot was originally going to go, maybe another 2 to 3 feet, and he's able to readjust. Nonetheless, a decent save. that might be our first shot on target of the game for Chelsea, I think, Rio, in the 57th minute.
Yeah, the amount of times you see deflections go in and leave keepers wrong-footed, No, it did pop up a really kind of nice kind of pace and angle to us, but we got away with that. Yeah, just showing the replay of the West Ham chance earlier. Yarmolenko did really well pulling it back, but Ben Rama was in a lot of space in the centre of the box, and he made the wrong option there, pulling it back.
Just been shown a close-up of Stuart Pearce up in the, well, I guess you'd decree the technical area, wherever that is, particularly in Stamford Bridge, but he's up there keeping a close eye on proceedings of what's happening below him. On the same vein as slugs and things that invade your garden, I'm going to add next door's cat to the list of things you have a serious dislike of, because it's taken to digging up my raised beds in the last few days. We've just seen another shot coming from Chelsea, another one on target. This time it's Fabianski has to dive to his left to punch it clear. Fairly straightforward save for Fabianski. It's on target again. Second one on target for Chelsea inside 2 minutes. And it's taken them sort of 57 minutes to have one. And then, of course, a bit like London buses, I guess, two come along at once. But West Ham got to be a little bit careful here. But Chelsea, equally, as Rio says, have got to be careful, because West Ham have definitely got the opportunity to break, and that's exactly what they're looking to do now. Now, can Ben Rama get in first? He can't, unfortunately. If Ben Rama, it's good defensive work there by Thiago Silva, came across to cover, but Fornals played the ball out left to Ben Rama, who so close to getting on it. If he had, he would have been away, and it would have been 1-on-1 with Mendy. This game's beginning to open up. Hobo Changba says, I have an irrational hatred of Alan Shearer's arms when he scored. That was just like that, wasn't it? And they were like locked, weren't they? Was it more like, I can't remember.
Just one.
Was it not Andy Gray who used to do that? I seem to remember.
Yeah, Andy Gray was a double punch, wasn't he? Like that.
Just good old fashioned. I'm going to disagree with you there, Hobo, actually, because I thought that was quite a manly celebration, just a raised clenched fist and held aloft in celebration, rather than these sort of little dances you see people. I was going to say dances you see people do around the corner flag, but of course then I realised that I would have been dissing one of West Ham's greatest ever goal celebrations, of which of course a very famous song was created about. And I am of course referring to Frank Lampard in the 1980 FA Cup semi-final replay against Everton, where he scored the winning goal. Of course, Craven Moorhead says, talking of Alfred Hitchcock, wasn't he a Hammers fan? That kind of rings bells, actually, Craven. Rio, can you shed any light on that one?
I don't know if he's a fan. I know he was born and brought up in the Leytonstone area, wasn't he?
Right.
And there's an Alfred Hitchcock hotel, around that area still.
Right.
Because I met a friend there, a friend that lives up north, come down with he had a school trip. He was a teacher, and he brought his school team down, like basketball coach. He brought his team down and met up with him.
Right.
Had a few beers, and there was the Alfred Hitchcock Hotel. So, yeah, he was definitely born in the Leytonstone area. I'm not sure he was supported, though.
Well, that kind of sounds to me like the worst possible place you could stay, the Alfred Hitchcock Hotel. It kind of conjures up all sorts of connotations. Certainly wouldn't want to get in the shower, would you, late at night, I suppose. But there you go. Let us know if you know Alfred Hitchcock. Was he a West Ham fan? Craven, perhaps you're right. If there's any qualifying statements to confirm that, let us know. Hobo talking about Alan Shearer's celebration says it was manly and old-fashioned. It's just his arm, nobody else's. Hobo, that might be our leader so far in terms of irrational hatreds of things. We have a change, Rio, for West Ham United.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. Mark Noble's leaving the pitch, 61 minutes gone, and the player that we need to protect, because he's going to be key to our European efforts, Declan Rice, is coming on. I do find that a little bit strange. Fresh legs, yeah, I get. Chelsea are becoming more and more influential in this game. So obviously Declan gives that kind of natural balance and that energy in the midfield that we need. But I'm surprised being brought on with the 3 games we've got coming up.
Could it be that Moyes fancies all 3 points here this afternoon and has identified a weakness in Chelsea's lineup?
If he does, and if he did, I would have expected Jarrod Bowen to come on rather than Declan. But the game is there for the taking. But does it disrupt our kind of flow and the way that we've been operating the first hour? It's a finely balanced thought, and you've got that fear that he's going to. The one game he will pick up an injury will be this one. Just noticed that Burnley had just taken the lead. Everton are in trouble.
Of course, if it stayed like that, I believe we are right in saying that Everton would drop into the bottom three.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
It's just come up on the TV. So, yeah, Burnley would be 2 points above. Of course, Everton would have 2 games in hand, but not much use generally at this time of the season when you're struggling to put points on the board altogether. What a time that would be for Everton to drop into the bottom 3. 7 games left to play.
Yeah, and they've got Liverpool today. Obviously, one of probably the toughest games they'd actually probably get. And I think the next game is against Chelsea. So there's no easy games coming up for Frank at the moment. If they've got a horrendous running, if they dropped, I wouldn't be devastated. I know you've got an irrational hatred. As I said, I hate every club, but Everton are way up that list.
Yeah, send them down. Send them down, Jurgen. Send them down. Thomas Tuchel. Good stuff. You just talked about Declan Rice. He's just walked away from a challenge, clutching his lower back, literally 90 seconds after he came onto the pitch. But West Ham looking to break on the left-hand side. Arthur Masuaku finds Aaron Cresswell. Cresswell back to Masuaku, back to Cresswell. West Ham probing patiently and keeping possession, which is good. We want to see West Ham get their foot on the ball. It's been a difficult last 4 or 5 minutes for the Hammers. Chelsea have been looking to push on, but finally forcing Lucas Fabianski to make a couple of saves. Those scores. Interesting one down. I nearly said the Goldstone Ground. Of course, it isn't anymore. The Amex Stadium. Brighton were leading 2-0 against Southampton. It's now Brighton 2, Southampton 2. So the former Dell club have found a bit of life from somewhere, Rio. Burnley 1, Wolves 0, as you said. And we're waiting for that Liverpool-Everton game to kick off later on at 4:30.
Yeah, I noticed that James Ward-Prowse has scored at least one of the goals for Southampton. It's a cracking player, isn't he? Even take away the set pieces, he's still a really good footballer there. Yeah. And I'm sure he's going to be covered by so many clubs in the summer. But if he pops up at our place, I wouldn't be complaining. Let's put it that way. No, I just noticed he scored both the goals.
He has. He's got 2. I wonder if one of those was a set piece. He's an absolute demon, isn't he? From 20 yards around that area. Scores a lot of goals from there. Good stuff. Aaron saying, give it another 10 minutes and get Antonio and Bowen on. Aaron clearly fancying West Ham for the win. And Hobo pointing out it's Frank Lampard's Everton, if you don't mind. Absolutely right, Hobo. Julie admonished here for getting that one completely wrong. Steve Palmer, Rio says the ship by the pier that you were referring to, Southend all those years ago that left you in a traumatic condition was the Golden Hind, he believes. Wasn't that the one we were talking about last week? I don't know if you were on that stream, Ro, but we were talking about the ship with the waxworks. I'm sure that was the Golden Hind. I don't remember a parrot there. There was, from my days when I went there, there was a dummy swinging an axe. Not sure you'd get away with it these days through the chest of someone who was impaled and strung up. Yeah. Now, what's going on here? Michael Oliver's calling Aaron Cresswell over, Rio, and having a word with Declan Rice. I didn't see that.
No, I missed that one. I was having a flashback when you mentioned the parrot again. So,
well, nothing's come of it anyway. It's maybe time wasting, perhaps, because West Ham have the throw-in. A bit early to time waste, perhaps, but 66 minutes and 6 seconds gone. Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. The Hammers. I was almost going to say hanging on in there, but we're not hanging on. We're doing okay. Chelsea only had a couple of shots on target so far. West Ham another opportunity to break now. And this is, Rio, where you feel if we're going to score today, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to be on a counter attack. I like to say, I mean, I like Andrei Yarmolenko, but he's been a bit of a periphery figure, and he's made a couple of glaring errors. Man, he's offside, I think, for the 3rd time in the space of about 5 or 10 minutes. He's cutting a pretty forlorn figure. So potentially, if we do want to win this game, maybe bring on Bowen, like I said, playing up top instead of Yarmolenko. When we hit on the break, we hit on the break with a little bit more purpose, a little bit more intent, a little bit more pace. The opportunity's there. We just got to kind of eke it out. But do we risk bringing Jared on? Now, we're risking one of our key components at the moment. Do we risk another?
Second half stats just flashing up as we've seen Chelsea with a shot. Oh, and the ball's cannoned off. I think that's going to be a goal kick. I think it's cannoned off the back of Werner. I think it was Silver's shot. Silver drove for the centre. A shot hit the back of Werner and dribbled out cannoned out really for a goal kick. Stats, second half stats, Chelsea 6 shots, 2 on target, West Ham 1 shot, none on target, West Ham still without a shot on target. Werner would have been offside anyway had the ball got in, which has just been confirmed on the screens there. Chelsea 56% possession to West Ham's 44. So the Hammers seeing an awful lot more of the ball in the second half than we perhaps did before the break. But we are now into the final quarter of this latest London derby, the 122nd or something like that meeting between the two sides. Chelsea 50 wins to West Ham's 43. I think it's 22 draws. That certainly doesn't add up to 120, 115 maybe, but somewhere around there. Anyway, Chelsea, I know are leading now, given their recent dominance in this particular fixture. Craven Moorhead says Ward-Prowse's second goal, Rio, was from open play. And talking about Declan Rice and going back to a theme we've been talking about throughout this season, Declan Rice's future. David O'Rourke says, if we lost at Rice but signed James Ward-Prowse and a top striker, I would just about be okay with it, which brings to mind something else. I'd like to put this out to everyone watching the stream. If Declan Rice was to go, what would make it acceptable for you? So what players? I mean, there's a great example. David saying that, you know, if we sign Ward-Prowse and a top striker, he'd accept. Obviously, wouldn't be happy about losing Rice, but he'd accept that as a viable swap. Let us know what you think. You know, who would you consider an able replacement or replacements for Declan Rice? Rio, any thoughts on that particular issue?
To be honest, I actually can't see Rice going in this window, the next window. I think if he's going to go, it'd be next summer. At the moment, I don't see a ready-made replacement because he is such a great player. Oh, Andre Yarmolenko got fed through, coming in on the right-hand side, shot blocked by Mendy, ball come back to him, and again, another block. That was a great opportunity. Yeah, Andre, you should do better there, mate.
Yeah, great. West Ham's best chance of the game, no question until Yarmolenko set free on the right-hand side, cut into the penalty box. This is dangerous. Oh, when Craig Dawson's just done another superb piece of defending at the other end. Let's start with that little sequence. Going back to Yarmolenko, played free on the right-hand side, cutting towards the near post. Initial shot saved by Mendy, and then another effort was also saved. And then at the other end, Mason Mounts had a shot which was blocked by Dawson, played in by Loftus-Cheek. The ball falling to the feet of, I think, is it Werner? I think it's Werner, and Werner gives himself space, goes around Dawson, who's on the floor and still trying to tackle the Chelsea player. But fortunately for West Ham, unfortunately for Werner and Chelsea, he couldn't quite manage to get the angle right and fires his shot high into the side netting. And it remains Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. Rio, we're 20 minutes from time. Is it you know, can we start thinking about maybe leaving here with a point this afternoon?
It's still too early for me. Where Chelsea are breaking on a break once again. Little bit of a kind of no man's land there, wasn't it? Ball come across, it hit the player. You don't know where it's going to end up. Thankfully, it come in our favour. Yeah, I think the way that Chelsea are attacking, they're under the cosh. They've got to Tuchel will be absolutely furious for the way this game has panned out. So they're going to come at us. It's too early to be thinking of a point at the moment. If we did pull it off, it'd be absolutely marvellous. But I'm more nervous now than I was at the start of the game.
Yeah, it gets like that, doesn't it? The closer you I mean, I think at the start we were kind of all resigned to the fact that, well, you know, given the team that we've put out, we were just looking for a decent effort and for the boys to you know, put a decent performance in regardless of the result. But here we are, 72 minutes gone, still 0-0, and we're beginning to dream of taking something here from the bridge. Of course, we could yet win this game. It only takes one little bit of luck. We're talking about potential substitutes. You touched on Bowen. Maybe if we wanted to go in it, I'm not so sure that bringing on Michail Antonio at this point wouldn't be the worst thing we could do, because I think it's certainly, you know, I'm thinking of him in that situation. Probably wouldn't have scored in that had he been given that opportunity that Yarmolenko, which we're just seeing replayed on the screens, had. But it certainly gives the Chelsea defenders a lot to think about, and, you know, being that physical threat that he is.
Yeah, most definitely. I just worried that if we are going to rest players, Bowen's has come on. I thought Mikel is the one player you really don't want to kind of introduce today, because the age, the injury record, the physical aspect is an absolute key component.
Yeah,
I'd rather him absolutely fresh for Thursday night myself. But the longer this game goes on, you know, there is a good call for that. There's a good chat for that.
Yeah,
well, I mean, to be fair, I think, you know, it's an equally valid option that's been taken there, bringing Jarrod Bowen on. Different kind of player. He's clearly going to go and play up front in that sole striker's role, but we know he's got pace, we know he's got energy, and to be fair, out of him, Antonio and Yarmolenko, he's probably the most likely to score in those particular situations. We've seen him score a few goals in those from those areas already this season, so I can understand why they've done that. Chelsea have a corner anyway.
Yeah, he brings a lot more composure going forward, and a lot more poise and a lot more kind of intent when he hits on the counter. He seems to know what he's doing with the ball. With Antonio, it's a lot more kind of based on instinct, and Andre just hasn't got the legs anymore. Chelsea corner, swings into near post. Again, we get it away.
Bowen.
And they swing it in again. Oh, it's fallen to Werner. Oh, Fabianski with a great save from Werner. He was off balance, I think, but he still got a decent connection on it. But yeah, Fab was well up to the task there.
It's a really good save. It's a reaction save, reflex save, isn't it? The cross comes in from the left-hand side. It sort of misses 3 or 4 players, and Werner just pokes a toe out. Probably Rio had more time than he thought there. Although, to be fair, Aaron Cresswell was in close attendance and wouldn't have been too far away from the challenge. But nonetheless, it's a great save by Fabianski to his right-hand side.
Absolutely. And it's a very, very rare occasion where you see both Thomas Souček and Craig Dawson miss the same ball. Normally you get one of them to making a connection, clearing it. But both of them missed it. As you say, he's slightly off balance there, Werner. He wasn't expecting the ball to come through to him. Got a reasonable connection, but Fab's up to the task, and he's done a couple of nice saves today, Fab.
Yeah, he certainly has. Had a good second half so far, having been perhaps a little bit disappointing against Burnley last week. Chelsea looking to break again. Anyway, we just saw Pablo Fornals. Well, let's stick with this because this is dangerous. On the right-hand side, Chelsea into the box. And it's Ben Johnson who's done a really good, performed a really good block there to prevent the shot coming in. Chelsea, Ben Rama this time's on the deck, asking for a free kick. Oliver says no, waves play on, and they look to break on the right-hand side again. Loftus-Cheek now coming into the box against Arthur Masuaku. Plays it short. Conte's got a chance to shoot here, and well, it's Cresswell on that occasion who stretches his foot out and makes another really good block. West Ham's defence doing a superb job out there this afternoon. Rio.
Chelsea make 3 subs here.
Okay.
Zitech is coming on for definite.
Against us,
I'm trying to see who it is. Loftus-Cheek is leaving.
Lukaku and Pulisic.
Werner is going off.
And it looks like Lukaku coming on for Werner.
Yeah. And we all know how that happens more times out than we actually care to remember.
Yes.
But the way we've marshalled him, like marshalled the rest of the Chelsea forwards, Pulisic was the other one, Havertz went off. Yeah, the way we marshalled the Chelsea attack so far, I mean, obviously they come more and more into the game and they're under pressure from the manager to come more forward and attack us. And we're sitting back a little bit more, but we've marshalled it well so far. I actually think Craig Dawson relished the task of playing up against Lukaku. He's very much his kind of player, I think. So I'm not devastated that he's actually on.
No, not at all. But as you said, we've all seen how this particular book ends. But hopefully it'll be a rare exception this afternoon. Just over 13 minutes left to play. Chelsea pretty dominant at the moment. Ball being predominantly played in West Ham's half. The Hammers not had many opportunities to get out since Declan Rice came on. Yarmolenko the only out ball. I did say Pablo Fornals breakout a little while ago and looked like he was fouled, but he was clearly hurt. But Thomas Souček went and pulled him up off the floor and said, "We haven't got time for you to roll around on the deck. We know it's all hands to the pumps, as it were, and to try and maintain this position where we can get a point." Just wondering, have Chelsea got much to play for here today? I mean, obviously can't finish first or second in the league now. Arsenal are only 3 points behind them, Tottenham 5, but they do have, the point here would put them 6 points ahead, which you would assume would be enough to keep them in third.
Yeah, at this stage of the season, you would have thought third place is pretty much guaranteed for them.
Yeah.
But no, another win here, a point here for us. would have meant 3 games at home. We haven't picked up anything. And he puts the pressure on. And Tuchel was much lauded in his opening season. But it's got a bit stale. There's something obviously missed there because the fans are getting disgruntled. And if the cracks are appearing, you don't know what it leads to, do you? We've seen it at other clubs. Little cracks lead to kind of vast chasms. And once the support kind of turns against you as well, things could go awry here. We just made another change. Lanzini comes on for side Benrahma.
Yeah, just interesting. Looking at the hand signals Lanzini was offering Declan Rice, it looks like Moyes has indicated that we go to a 2-man central defence with Lanzini perhaps playing just a little bit in front. But West Ham in a good opportunity. Jarrod Bowen into the box, just couldn't quite get a foot on it from Masuaku's pass. Would have been a really good chance. But Declan Rice regains possession for the Hammers, trying to hang on to it, being hassled by Romelu Lukaku. Declan Rice does really, really well to keep hold of that ball, and it's promptly conceded, given away by Pablo Fornals. But Hammers able to get a bit of breathing space. Anyway, Craven Moorhead Rio says, when was the last time Lukaku scored? Not today, hopefully. Do we have any ideas on that one?
I think, was it Arsenal early in the season? Oh, no, sorry, no. I'm getting mixed messages from my support team. They don't know. If they don't know, and they're throwing me out of kilter. I don't know, but...
he hasn't played us in a while, let's just say that.
Yeah, as another one just pointed out, he hasn't played us for a few years now, so
Okay, well, I'm just trying to check that up for you, Craven, while everything's going on. But Chelsea have the ball again, and they're looking to attack down West Ham's right hand side. I can confirm the last time Lukaku scored was in the FA Cup at Middlesbrough on the 19th of March. The last Premier League goal he scored was in, I'm having to scroll right back, 29th of December, his last Premier League goal, 1-1 draw at home against Brighton. Since then, he scored against Chesterfield in the FA Cup. He scored against Al Hilal. There's that team we couldn't remember, Rio, in the FIFA Club World Cup semi-final. Scored in the final against Palmeiras, who Rio was talking about earlier. Scored in the 3-2 win at Luton in the FA Cup. Then, as I said a few moments ago, at Middlesbrough in March. But no Premier League goals in 2022. So, yeah, it's all set up nicely for a Lukaku late winner. But anyway, but there you go, Craven. I hope that answers your question. 10 minutes to go. Chelsea 0, West Ham United 0. Hobo says, I'm getting nervous now. Hobo, we're all feeling that a little bit, buddy, I think, right now, with the Hammers not too far away from managing to leave this important game with what would be a very, very important point. Declan Rice just shielding the ball out as it enters the West Ham penalty box for a West Ham goal kick, and the Hammers can take a deep breath and waste a few more vital seconds as we look to move on. That's just going back to that substitution. What did you make of that, Rio? Lanzini for Benrahma? Fairly straightforward, like for like there?
I think just gives a little bit more control in midfield when we do have the ball, doesn't it? And as we said, sorry, on the break, he's fantastic, but his decision making is poor. He's been a bit on the periphery in his second half because Chelsea have been so dominant in the middle. So bringing Manuel in to try and eke a little bit of possession, keep us under control. Let's kill this game off. We want to go, we want to win, but a point here would be fantastic. A little bit of altercation, I think that's it. Thomas Soucek again has taken another knock to the head.
Christensen, wasn't it?
I think Alonso, was it? Donzo?
Alonso.
Jarrod Bowen who's down there, or was it?
I think you're right.
Alonso's gone up. Just seen the replay now. Yeah, he's kind of grabbed Browner in the elbow was out and all. He's rightly booked. But no, it's a promising free kick here. And we know how good we are at set pieces. If we can pull one off now, this would be absolutely immense.
Manuel Lanzini looks up. He's going to be taking it from the right-hand side from about 45 yards out, floats it across the pitch. Craig, come on, referee. Oh, come on. Craig Dawson's just stood his ground. Mason Mounts backed into him and fallen over, and Michael Oliver's given Chelsea a free kick. That's pretty poor, Mr. Oliver, I think. Nothing in that really, and unfortunately the opportunity is wasted for West Ham. Coming back to, we were asking the question, Rio, a few minutes ago about if Declan Rice was to leave West Ham this summer, hypothetically, what players coming in would assuage our supporters? Who would they deem as an acceptable replacement or replacements? Craven Moorhead saying, if Chelsea can't splash the cash, then would they accept Rice and a Gallagher swap plus plus cash going to us. Palace will struggle without him next season. Had a fabulous season, hasn't he? Gallagher scored a couple of goals against us, didn't he, at the LOS earlier in the season?
Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic, pal. Another one who I'd be kind of interested in, it was talk of it in the week, actually, Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's kind of midfield energy. Well, he's been playing right wing back under Tuchel the last few games, but sticking in midfield in a regular berth, his energy, work rate, I think it'd be a really good acquisition for us. But I'd rather see it augment the squad rather than because Declan actually leaves.
Yeah, of course, this is all hypothetical. We're not advocating that West Ham sell Declan Rice at all. But the question was posed: who would you deem as an acceptable replacement? Romelu Lukaku's just gone up for a header in the box, steered his header wide, but I think it's come off Craig Dawson and Chelsea. It's Azpilicueta's cross. Yeah, it's come off the chest of Dawson, who's having another immense game out there, Rio, isn't he, today? At the heart of that defence, holding everything together, really.
Yeah, he's been an absolute warrior once more. And Chelsea corner comes in, we clear it only as far as Kante, but it's in the centre circle and he plays it back for them to rebuild. Yeah, Craig Dawson being an absolute warrior once again. The only recognised centre back we've got. He's led the line. He's got Cresswell alongside him, Ben Johnson, who obviously needs coaching for the games and a bit of education, and he's done an immense job in doing it.
No. Well,
held on to him.
Now Chelsea have been awarded a penalty. Craig Dawson's been penalised for pulling at Romelu Lukaku. It's not a dissimilar situation to the one we saw against Lyon, where I think Lukaku's got ahead of Dawson. Dawson sort of stuck his hand out. I'm not sure it's enough to pull Lukaku over. Lukaku's obviously felt the contact and thrown himself to the ground. I'm not sure VAR is going to overturn that, Rio. I don't think there's anything in it, but I think the fact that Dawson's put his hand out is enough for the referee to give it.
Yeah, definite contact. And that's my fault for you eulogising about Craig Dawson at the same time. It's far too much of him. And any striker in modern game who gets that kind of contact on his body and his shirt is going to go down like an absolute sack. Lukaku's done it. All we can hope for here is Fabianski pulls off an absolutely immense save. That to get 85 minutes into the game, and they're actually looking at it as a red card, and VAR checking this, denying the goal scored opportunity. Yes, we know it is because just given a penalty.
Yeah, he's going to get sent off. This is disastrous for West Ham. If Dawson is sent off here and faces a ban, we are going to be left with no central defenders in the Premier League. And I think he's going to get sent off because Oliver's gone to the side. He's been advised to check it. And when do you ever see these? When do you ever see the referee overturn the VAR decision? So I think we're going to see Dawson dismissed, and West Ham are going to be in an absolutely dreadful position in terms of central defenders. A bit of a rush of blood to the head for Dawson. Here comes Oliver. What's he going to do? Well, his hand's going to the pocket. Is the red card coming out? Yeah, this is disastrous for West Ham. It's absolutely disastrous.
People anyway.
Yeah, red card. Dawson's off.
I mean, your son's just mentioned, isn't the double jeopardy rule coming into play there? But
we saw it with Fabianski, didn't we? Last week.
The other day.
Yep. It's denial of a dog's oath, denial of goal scoring opportunity, a yellow card.
It does leave you wondering how we're going to cope in the next few games with in the league. Got Arsenal next week, unless there's a miraculous recovery from Zuma or Bonner, which I very much doubt. Then we're looking at either potentially having a central defensive partnership with Ben Johnson and Aaron Cresswell.
Anyway, let's come back to the penalty. It's still 0-0. It's here it comes. Jorginho, and he's saved! Oh, what a terrible penalty. I'd like to say, Rio, that justice has been done there, but I'm not sure it has. But West Ham are down to 10 men. We have no central defenders left on our books. But Lucas Fabianski has pulled off. It's not even a tremendous save. He's stood up. It's a terrible penalty, Rio. Absolutely terrible.
That is, for a man of his reputation from the penalty spot, that is absolutely awful. He's just kind of drilled it gently along the floor, rolled into it, and Fabianski all he had to do was fall over.
Unbelievable. Just hearing he scored 9 penalties out of 9 this season, Jorginho. and then he saved that one for West Ham. So you've got to say now at this point, we're in the 88th minute. It's still Chelsea and West Ham United. We absolutely must escape with a point from this game. You know, we've been major. We haven't been let off the hook, of course, because Dawson's been sent off, and of course we'll have to deal with that when the time comes. But we're still in with a point here, and Chelsea have just tried their luck again. It's the substitute who's had a go, but it's curled away and out of play. And somehow we're still hanging on for a point, Rio.
Yeah, I've just seen how we kind of, as expected, Declan's dropped into the back line now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're under the cosh big time. We've got problems ahead of us. But if we can pull a point off here, this would be an absolutely marvellous result. But it doesn't bode well for the future. And I just love the reaction of Manuel Lanzini when Jorginho missed that awful penalty. The Sky showed it the reverse angle. And Manu was a little bit happy, shall we say.
Yeah. West Ham looking to break. They've got the boys. Jared Bowen, who's barely touched the ball until now, has won a free kick down by the corner flag in Chelsea's half on the left-hand side, and no doubt will take as long as we possibly can to take this. Fabianski, the hero today, Rio.
Sorry, mate, I've got a little bit of noise in the background.
No, to say Fabianski, there's a few question marks about him last week. A lot of people saying, well, maybe it's time to bring Ariola in, but the hero today.
Yeah, I thought we had a little bit harsh criticism last week. I mean, the goal we conceded wasn't easy to deal with at all. It didn't cover himself in absolute glory, but I thought that some of the criticism a little bit harsh. But today he's been absolutely fantastic. And I won't credit him for the save because, let's be honest, he could have dived the other way, got back up, rolled over, had a cup of tea, then gone back the other side and still saved that.
Yeah.
Now, that was the easiest save we'll ever make on a penalty spot. But yeah, he's had a really good game today.
We're in the 90th minute. Chelsea attacking down the left-hand side. The ball's come over low, and it's come. Oh, I don't believe it. They've scored. 90th minute, 89 minutes, 32 seconds. Is it Mason Mount, I think? No, it's not Mount. It's the substitute. And I don't believe it. 2 minutes ago, we thought we'd escaped. Chelsea missed a penalty. And now, this will be interesting because I'd like to take this flight back to Jared Bowen thought we had a corner. Right at the start of that move. Now, I'm fairly certain VAR is not going to look at it. Should do, because it's all part of the same move. Quite possibly should have been a corner to West Ham. Anyway, Chelsea have broke. On the left-hand side, the ball's been played in low. Pulisic has struck it with his left-hand foot across goal. And Fabianski finally beaten. And it looks like that's the end of our hopes this afternoon, Rio.
Yeah, that's an absolute sucker punch, isn't it? I'd like to see the replay of that. VAR are never going to check that for us. They check it for either City, they check it for United, Chelsea, Liverpool. For us, they're not going to bring that back. But yeah, they've hit on the break, pulled it back into the middle, and Pulisic, who isn't the most popular player at Stamford Bridge, I've been told, particularly amongst the fans, has put it in the back of the net, and that is an absolute kick in the teeth. Now, we've done so well with the scratch side, overcome a little bit of adversity, and yet to get nailed once more in the last minute. It's about the fourth or fifth time this season. It's really hurting us.
3 minutes. I can tell you there's 4 minutes of added on time to play. West Ham are all over the place at the moment. Defensively, I'm not quite sure we know what's going on. Declan Rice, as Rio said, has moved into the middle.
3-game ban.
There's another shot coming from Mason Mount this time, which is looped just over the bar, fortunately for West Ham. But I think that's our challenge over. I don't think, Rio, you can see us getting anything from this now.
No, it's absolute. I think the game's definitely gone now. Just hearing the background from my boys that Dalton's facing a 3-game ban, which is even more devastating. And another thing that's devastating at the moment is the reaction of the Chelsea fans. They've been... I was critical of them at the start of the broadcast today. They're saying right now they've won another World Club Cup because they've just got a squeaky 1-0 win against us. I hate them. I hate them.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Chelsea fans finally come alive, isn't it? Been very, very quiet this afternoon. I'm sure they've been very, very critical of their team. West Ham are putting a superb defensive performance today. No Kurt Zouma, of course, no Angelo Ogbonna of course, no Issa Diop, and now no Craig Dawson. And it finally proved to be too much for West Ham, and finally giving way in the final minute of normal time. How many times have we done that this season, Rio? I'm thinking of Manchester United and thinking of Brentford. Who else am I missing in terms of late goals being conceded?
Well, Man United both times, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course, twice. Yeah,
Both
yeah.
games.
Home and away.
Yeah, it's at least 4 occasions we've been undone in the last minute, and it's incredibly galling.
Declan Rice has won a throw-in for West Ham by the halfway line. We're in the final of those 4 added on minutes. It's going to take something miraculous now for West Ham to save a point from this one. But anyway, we'll stick with it because Lanzini's on the ball, plays it down the left. So Pablo Fornals get a crossing. Come on, son, get it over. Lost one over, far post, coming in at the back post is. I
was given a free kick. How are we going to have a free kick for that?
And yeah, it's Chelsea players are celebrating that free kick as if they've won another Club World Championship. It's quite remarkable. But that's probably West Ham's last chance. Aaron asking, Dawson will still be available for the Frankfurt game, though, right? Yes, Aaron. Of course, the suspensions will only apply to domestic football. So it's only the Premier League games he's going to be missing for. I say only, but of course it's a huge blow for West Ham. Craven Moorhead coming back to that point. How many last-minute goals have cost us this season? Despite 10 men, we just cannot afford to switch off. I really want to see a replay of that incident down by the Chelsea touchline. I was fairly convinced that the ball had gone out of play. But the referee's assistant and our referee felt otherwise. And of course, it's up to them. VAR presumably not even checking it. Burnley have beaten Wolves. Massive result for another team in claret and blue. Everton are in the Frank Lampard's Everton. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, are in the bottom 3. So it's very small. Something to take, I suppose, from this afternoon. But we of course would all much rather see West Ham take something out of this game, even if it was just a point. But Rio, you said it, didn't you? 20 minutes, 10 minutes to go. We were starting to get a little bit nervous, and here we go again. We can't see the game out. But hang on,
we're on the attack again. One last effort, boys. Now ball comes in, cleared away. No, it's incredibly disappointing. Given before the game, we probably would have said, 1-0, yeah, we'll take that. Given the paucity of our options at the back, given the fact we rotated the squad for the first time, I think probably under David Moyes' reign.
Yep.
But we defended so diligently for 85 minutes with such composure, with such determination. We even actually had the affordability of them missing a penalty, which, yeah, it was a pen. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
But then to come undone 2 minutes later through what we think could potentially be a dodgy decision, which VAR was never going to check. It's just so frustrating, isn't it? All that way. Before the game, you would have taken 1-0. Getting 85 minutes into the game and to lose it in this manner, it's devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Yeah, it is devastating because that point would have been a very, very important point as well for the Hammers and our battle to finish in the top 6. Manchester United, of course, imploding at the moment. But it wasn't to be in the end. And another massive issue for David Moyes with Craig Dawson out. That's now all 4 central defenders out for West Ham. Now, of course, as we said, Dawson will be available for Thursday night's first leg of the semi-final Europa League against Eintracht Frankfurt, but out against Arsenal next week. And we think it might be a 3-game suspension coming. Let's just touch on that quickly, Rio, because that was the moment that, the game swung on, really. Now we've had a few minutes to sort of digest it and look at it a couple of times. Do you think A, was a penalty? B, was it a red card offence?
Definite penalty for me. He's got his hands all over Lukaku. Lukaku's made an absolute meal out of it. I've just seen the replay. He's gone down and performed a kind of little theatrical scissor kick at the end of his falling movement. But Craig's got far too much of a grip of him. And modern day football, every striker worth his salt will go down. So, definite penalty. As for the red card, not for me. You got Kreuzel coming back to cover. Fabianski's coming out. a red is incredibly harsh, and I don't know even if it's worth appealing, because what are we going to get? What are we going to get if we appeal? Would it just delay the fact that we're going to get a ban for after Arsenal? Would it make it even worse? I don't know. But definite red. Definite pen. No red for me.
Okay, good stuff. Let us know what you think on the live chat. We'll be sticking with you for a little while longer to sort of digest this very hugely disappointing result. It's finished Chelsea 1, West Ham United 0 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea scoring the only goal of the game, the 90th minute, the final minute of normal time. Substitute Pulisic. Looking at a replay of that goal, Rhea, I'm kind of thinking that if Craig Dawson's out there, Pulisic doesn't get that shot, does he?
No, exactly. No. You thought an extra man in the middle, we're congested it a little bit more. There'll be no space. Yeah. It's a domino effect, isn't it? Once Dawson goes, you're under cosh even more. A few more gaps appear.
Yep.
The runner comes in, and he's normally picked up by somebody. It doesn't happen. It just, as I said, devastating. It's incredibly frustrating. To work that hard for so long, gets a team of that calibre, not to come away here with at least a point is it's a real kick in the teeth.
Yeah, just looking at the table, unbelievably, we're only 9 points ahead of Newcastle now, given the Mag's recent resurgence. Quite incredible, really. But there's an interesting point actually being made. Hobo is suggesting that the initial challenge made by Dawson was actually outside of the box. Now, if that's proved to be the case, again, it's not something that we can appeal as a club. West Ham can appeal, but it's even more reason to feel a slight sense of injustice over, because if that is correct, if Hobo is right there, that the challenge did begin outside the box, should have been a free kick, not a penalty.
Yeah, and for me, it was definitely outside the box, the first initial contact when he had him. But because of the pace of the game and the way the ball was moving, the final actual completion of the challenge and the grasping of the man, he goes down in the area, and referees, any opportunity to give the sinister six a penalty, they're going to give. It was fractional, but it did start outside the box, but the actual offence was completed inside.
Interesting. Well, we'll wait to see what David Moyes thought of that. We'll, of course, bring you the thoughts of the boss on KUMB.com later on this afternoon, once his press conference is complete. And, of course, those of his opposite number, Thomas Tuchel, who I'm sure will no doubt be rather relieved that his team have somehow managed to take 3 points. Craig Dawson, Rio, he was immense prior to that, but is there a feeling that he's cost us, given what happened in the last 3 minutes?
I think it'd be hypercritical to say that, but it is a little bit naive, isn't it? But he's one of these wholehearted warrior type players who's going to go in for every single challenge, always trying to block his man. He's not going to give him a little bit of slack. He's not thinking long term. If I make a rash challenge here, I'm out for 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. All he's thinking is in the moment. And in the moment, his sole intention was to prevent Lukaku getting through on goal. And his natural reaction is to reach out and grasp. To call him out for that would be hypercritical. Bit naive maybe, but in the heat of the moment, I'm not going to criticise any player for that.
I think it's, if I recall correctly, there was a statistic shown a few moments before the penalty when it was shown how many blocks each player had made during the game, and Craig Dawson made more blocks than any other player in the match. 6 blocks, I think it was, prior to that point. So you could argue that he'd potentially saved us up until that point. Yeah. Even though that in the end, it's just unfortunate the way that football goes. All anyone will remember him for this afternoon is giving that penalty away, and to Romelu Lukaku of all people. Still hasn't scored in 2022, but instrumental in the goal that counted, or not the goal that counted, but the incident that kind of led to the goal, I suppose you could argue.
Yeah, he's made his career through kind of exploiting those kind of challenges and those decisions. I still blame myself more than Craig Dawson for this, because when I wax lyrical about somebody, when I say that, Lukaku is Dawson's kind of player, he should be able to handle him with aplomb, and that happens. I I will hand in my resignation after the game. You'll be in writing in triplicate. Yeah, I've made a rod from my own back. Someone give me a parrot and let me let me die. Let me die now in the face of birds, which will terrify me. Yeah.
Well, something that's quite terrifying, judging by the look at his gnome's face right now. And the gnome has been at Stamford Bridge this afternoon. Looks absolutely furious. Now, let's find out what Gnome thought of it. Of course, Gnome always has plenty to say about our match officials. Gnome, can we swing you round a bit so we can see a bit more of you, if possible? Can you turn your phone 90 degrees? Gnome, thank you for joining us. Obviously, pretty cheesed off. Thank you very much. That's it. It's much better, as the rest of us are. It's finished Chelsea 1, West Ham United 0. Of course, the big talking point is the penalty decision. Now, I don't know how much you saw of it, but there's a possibility that the board being out of play and West Ham should have had a corner in the lead up to the penalty decision. So there's lots of things to kind of digest and look at there. First of all, should it have been a corner to West Ham when Bowen had the ball down in the far end? Not sure if he was at that end of the ground or the other. What did you think of the penalty? Should it have been a penalty or a free kick, given that the first infringement was outside the box? And was it a red card?
Don't know. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear the people behind you loud and clear. Yeah.
Right. Right. Firstly, the corner, everybody down that. I couldn't got quite since it was down below us.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it was, everybody went up instantly, which suggests it probably should have been. Up the other end, where they put us, we were sort of right behind the goal, and we were having to crouch and try to look under the crossbar to see stuff. So honestly, I couldn't see sod all up the other end.
Okay.
It's just laughing though. What a muppet club this Chelsea are. The guy at the end, and we all laughed, thanked Chelsea for their magnificent support. Really? Not a peep out of them until the penalty, and what a shame that so few of them were there to see the winning goal, having long decided to go hard. It really is a joke place here, a big call that. All you can hear is obviously West Ham singing. They were applauded off. The hard work was recognised, and it was. As you can probably hear, there's a few suggestions. As you can probably hear, there's a few suggestions as to what they should do with their blue flags. So,
the old ones are the best, as they say. Was it a penalty, no?
Couldn't say.
Okay, no idea. Okay.
It was. I was 9 rows back, which meant that I was constantly having to look above or below the crossbar just to try and see what was going on up that end. Excuse me, my voice is going a bit, you can probably tell.
You do sound a bit croaky, buddy. A gnome playing the Arsene Wenger card there. I couldn't see it, he says. But unlike Arsene Wenger, gnome probably being quite genuine. It was one of those. And then, of course, the penalty itself. I mean, we've seen the odd penalty saved at the Bridge before. Jimmy Walker, of course, famously denied Frank Lampard all those years ago in the League Cup. I'm guessing the celebrations probably weren't quite as raucous as on that particular occasion, but did it feel like we'd salvaged a point when when Fabianski drops on the ball?
Yeah, and that was when the great exodus went. There's still more of us here now. The great exodus happened as soon as that lessened in Fabianski's grasp. So it was a bit cruel. I don't know what you're saying about the sending off. I've heard a couple of people query it, shall we say. But obviously I haven't seen the replay or anything of it. But of course, the extra man made all the difference because they had one over on their left, our right.
One thing that we're trying to seek clarification on, and you're probably the best person to ask about this, but 1 or 3 match ban do we think for Dawson?
One
match ban.
It's not a serious foul play. It's dog show, denial of goal scoring opportunity. So,
okay. some good news, I suppose, because we were kind of in the depths of despair here when we that it suddenly dawned on us that we now have no central defenders left.
You and me, Gray, you and me.
Well, there's worse options out there, I suppose. I can't think of many, but there probably is. What do we do? What do we? I mean, of course, we're okay for Frankfurt. That's a different competition. It's the Europa League, so that doesn't apply. What do we do for Arsenal next week? We're assuming no one's going to be fit out of those four, by the way.
There is a sort of slight rumour that Zuma might be training again, but
yeah,
I believe that when I've seen it. Excuse me. I don't know. It'll have to be probably Rice and Johnson. Johnson have cleared himself okay today.
Yeah.
And so Rice and Johnson, I suspect. But,
okay. Well, we'll wait and see.
Given that we started out with our second team out there, and Chelsea leaders sending off to actually get anything past us. Yeah. It's a bit cruel, but.
Yeah, these things happen. Rio, have you got any questions you'd like to fire at our man at Stamford Bridge?
Firstly, what are you doing at Wimbledon? Because
oh, that's better.
Oh, you are at Chelsea. I'll let you off. Yeah, just to make sure everyone's okay, mate. And
yeah, everyone's fine. I had lunch with Pinky today, but he seems to have disappeared. So, yeah, it's you'll remember my mate Dave, the Geordie lad. It's the anniversary of his death today, so we're all going to see Steely Dan tribute band in his honour at the Half Moon at Putney, which is conveniently just up the road. So
we noticed Pinky had a rather nice blazer, a Rio approved Foo Fighters blazer on early. Which First time he's ever been congratulated for us through sartorial elegance. Now, also, I just want your take really on our performance, particularly in that. Sorry, what the performance? The decision to bring on Declan Rice. The decision to bring on Bowen. I thought the Rice one was a bit surprising for me because
I think
it was a big risk.
Yeah, it was, but I think they were beginning to get a little bit of a grip in midfield there, and I think that he was, as it proved, he was going to be breaking it up a little bit more. I mean, I would have been too upset not to see him. Let's put it that way. To see why he was brought on, but hopefully nobody's been picking up anything today. And we'll be all right for Thursday, isn't it? Excuse me. Sorry, my throat's really going to go.
Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to let you go there, buddy, because we're going to call it a day on the stream anyway. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it's a bit more rewarding than what we've just seen. And as you rightly pointed out,
well, I'm gonna bump into you may remember Spencer Keyworth from the Internet Hammers. Spence,
yes,
So we've arranged to meet at the Half Moon in a little while.
Lovely. Oh, well, please pass on my best regards. I think you were talking on the WhatsApp group the other day, weren't you? Isn't that where you were discussing?
Yeah. I
do lurk on there and just keep an eye on what's going on. But, yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about it. Should we get a final summary, gentlemen? Rio, first of all, West Ham United. Chelsea won, West Ham United. Hammers undone in the 90th minute.
Yeah. I'm probably just reiterating what I've said already, but before the game, you would have taken 1-0 again because we've got chaos at the back in terms of injuries. We rotated our squad. We're giving outings to Noble and Yarmolenko, who haven't played first-team football for a long time, and certainly not on a regular basis for even longer. But to come undone again, and once again, it's the fourth time at least this season in the last minute. And every time, barring the Brentford one, it's been against the teams in the upper six, the sinister six, who are so desperate to leave the league and leave the likes of us, but they struggle to beat us. I'm just devastated. As a group, we worked so hard, we defended so diligently, and we get undone by a little moment of madness and just a team with far too much money at their disposal over the last 20 odd years. A team whose support have forgotten where they come from before those 20 odd years. Now it's galling to lose to them lot.
Okay, thanks, Rio, and thanks for your company this afternoon. Thoroughly enjoyed it. As always, no final thoughts. Chelsea 1, West Ham United 0.
Yeah, I can't really add more to what Rio's just said. I mean, you come out feeling a little bit proud that you're a West Ham supporter and you're not involved in anything like that. Absolute silence for sort of 80 minutes, really, it really was. And when the penalty was saved, it was like mass exodus. And some of the more inventive chants, the one about just like the old days, there's nobody here. And there were a few aimed at Alonso as well, concerning a certain incident in his past life, shall we say. But I did like just like the old days, there's nobody here, which is pretty much as it was. Lots and lots of empties. Obviously, probably because I can't sell, but the other chart was "Where have your tourists gone?" So so it's like at least we support a proper team anyway, not a money laundry. Excuse me. I'm getting things coming up now. Exactly what's the point of VAR suggesting that the sending off might not have been genuine? So that was in the aforementioned WhatsApp group. Was just come in obliterating your face for a second there. So I'll have a look later on and reserve judgment, I think.
Okay. Well, I think there's going to be lots of discussion about that in the KUMB forum, the goal and the circumstances that led to it. I get the feeling we might be left feeling aggrieved once again. But I don't know if you're aware of this, Noam, but there was a smidging of good news this afternoon. Frank Lampard's Everton are in the bottom 3. Burnley beat Wolves 1-0. And, of course, they go to Liverpool in about... Well, they're at Liverpool now. They're at Liverpool anyway, of course, because that's where they're from. They're at the other side of Stanley Park this afternoon, facing the Reds.
How sad, never mind.
Yes, definitely one of those. One more question, gentlemen, before we do, and I've completely forgotten about this in all the post-match angst. Man of the match, no, first of all, who stood out for you, if anybody?
I don't think he was better than Dawson, but I'm going to give it to Johnson because I thought he acquitted himself very well in that unfamiliar role. So I'll give it to him.
Okay, Johnson for no, Rio?
I was actually going to go for the same thing. I thought, given the fact that he's not playing that position, probably ever in his career, he acquitted himself incredibly well. Can't fault him to that.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to shy of making it 3 out of 3. But I think there's a lot of good defensive performance. Arthur Masuaku, a bit of an unsung hero today. I thought he played really well. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Soufal, was throwing himself into everything. Brilliant performance by Johnson. I thought Dawson was absolutely outstanding yet again until that incident. But
until Michael Oliver did.
Outstanding. But for me, I think the player who just shaded it is another defender. Is Aaron Cresswell, another player playing out of position, but he stood firm, made 4 really important blocks. I think, or might be 5 in the end during the game, and it would have been Dawson until that point. So I'm going to give it to Aaron Cresswell. So. That's I suppose that is credit, isn't it, in some way to David Moyes, the way he's got his team organised this week, in that our 3 man of the match choices are 2 players who are playing out of position to cover for others. So well done, Moisey and the boys. Just slightly unfortunate today. It has finished Chelsea 1, West Ham United 0 at Stamford Bridge. The Hammers beaten in the 90th minute by a Pulisic goal right after Lucas Fabianski had made a save from a penalty. Jorginho missing the first penalty in 10 attempts, but it wasn't enough for West Ham to take point. The Hammers beaten in that final game. That's it from us this afternoon. Thank you, as always, to all of you out there for your company. Next up, it's a fairly big game for the Hammers as matches go. We are back to Der Capital against Die Adler, where Eintracht Frankfurt provide our next opponents for the first leg of the Europa League semi-final. Not sure if we'll be doing an Eyes Up Mother Brown, because we might all actually be at the game for once on that one, but we shall notify you on the KUMB.com forum in due course. Get yourself on over to the general discussion forum now for some post-match chat. Let us know what you thought about the goal. Was it legitimate? Should it stood? What should West Ham have had that corner before the goal? Should it have been a free kick, not a penalty? Did the initial challenge take place outside the box, and should it mean that a yellow card is initially given by Oliver and not a red card? Let's know all of those things and much more on the match day. That's it. We'll see you again very soon. Until then, my friends, take care and keep on believing. And come on, you Irons.
So.